Hi, it's Alexis Hasselberger, time management and productivity coach. Well, today I want to share with you 5 lessons that I have learned over the last 6 years since I have started this business full time, right? Since I've been in this full time. And I meant to do this actually on the 5th anniversary of my business, but a little thing called cancer got in the way back then. So a little late, but late is better than never. At least that's what I always think. So I want to share with you 5 lessons that I have learned deeply over the last 6 years. And these are things that don't only apply to my business. These are things that I think really will apply to any time you are doing something big, new, scary. You've never done it before. You don't exactly know how to do it. It feels overwhelming. Like anytime we're in a position of like, we got a big thing going on and we're not exactly sure how to get started or if we're going to be successful. I surely had all of those doubts when I first got started here. But, it's been several years and, I have been able to help so many people to use their time in a way that feels good, the way that feels like it supports their goals and their values. And I couldn't be more thankful that I am able to do that every single day and that you're a part of it. So with that, I want to share with you what these 5 lessons are that I think can really apply to anything we're doing that's big, scary, amorphous. We're not actually sure we can make it happen. Okay. So here's the first one. You do not have to have it all figured out from the get-go. Like, let me say that again. You do not have to have it all figured out. In fact, with most big new things we're doing, whether it's a project, it's a hobby, it's, a business, et cetera, there's no way we possibly can know all of those things from the beginning. And sometimes we delay because we're trying to do all the research and figure out all the things. But the reality is like, you just don't have to have it all figured out. So, when I started this business back in 2018, I didn't really know what it was going to be. I knew that I wanted to help people to use their time in a way that felt good to them so that they could have more fulfilling lives. I had an idea that I might do that through coaching. That's all I knew at the time. Right now, my business is comprised of, 5 clear verticals, right? I have one-on-one coaching. I have my group coaching program, Time Well Spent. I have online courses. I have both the online course version of Time Well Spent, and I have some other smaller online courses through Udemy. I also do a lot of team training and workshops for organizations and companies. And I do some consulting for companies about how to determine what is not quite working in their organization from a time management, productivity, wellness, burnout perspective, and figure out how to make some changes to organizationally fix those things, right? That's a lot of different things that I had no idea 6 years ago would be a part of this. And I didn't have it figured out then. And I don't know that I have everything figured out now, but things have happened kind of organically, right? I got my first client, my first coaching client, and I figured out what the coaching program would look like 1 week at a time as we went through it. And then he got great results. And so he started referring me people, and that side of the business was born. I started doing online courses because someone reached out to me and asked me to do an online course. And I'd never even taken an online course at that time, but I thought, that sounds interesting. That sounds fun. Why don't I do it? I do workshops and trainings and things because a client asked me to. And I thought, oh, yeah, this makes sense. So you don't have to have it all figured out, whatever it is for you. You can start small and build organically from there. Looking back, you will be like, wow, I built all of those things, right? I did all of that stuff, but it didn't feel like a big, grand plan at the time, right? So you do not have to have everything figured out, no matter what it is that you're doing. All right, lesson number 2, just start, right? This is kind of related to the first lesson, but so many times we just like get stuck in this research mode, analysis paralysis, et cetera. Just get started, take that first step. We don't know what we don't know until we actually start getting going. And the brilliant thing about being new at something or, having just gotten started is no one's really watching you anyways, right? You have a lot of room to make mistakes, learn from them, et cetera. So we just need to get started. Right. What I have found is that once you get started, right, you're not going to know all the different steps. But once you get started with the first step, the second step, it becomes clear. And then once you do the second step, the third step becomes clear. And sometimes you might even know a few steps ahead, but oftentimes you're just doing it one step at a time, and that's okay. Like that's how it's going to work. And you don't need to feel bad that you don't know all the steps. Nobody does. The next thing is really to break it down to get it done. So lesson number 3, break it down to get it done. If you start with this huge idea, it will feel overwhelming. It will feel amorphous. You will not know where to get started because there are so many ways that you can get started on something. There's so much research to do. You will never know it all. But when we break it down, right? When we say, okay, I'm just going to get started and I'm going to define that first next step, then that leads to the next step. It leads to the next step. It leads to the next step. And you want to make sure actually that those next steps are small, really, really small. Because if you make the next step too big, your brain goes like this. I don't want to do that. Like, I don't know how to do that. I'm going to stay where I am. So make it as small as you possibly can. I always call this like, idiot proofing my task list from myself. All right, I don't know what Zoom is doing right there, but it celebrated us for a second there. I must have turned on some sort of, I don't know, AI, something or other. In any case, you want to break things down to get them done. Just a little bit at a time will help you know that next thing and make it so, so small that you cannot make yourself not do the next thing, right? You can't convince your brain not to do it because it's so small. Now, the fourth lesson is that you are going to need some people along the way. Whatever it is that you're doing, if it's big and it's hard, you are going to need other people. And I say this as a person who is staunchly independent, right? I say this as a person who really likes working alone, who really likes being alone. I mean, it's funny, right? I work with other people. I love my clients. I love all the people that I work with. But also, I mean, even before I started this business, I really liked to work in a kind of solo environment. I like to work at home. Of course, I have to collaborate with other people and I enjoy that as well. But like, I think I started this thing and I thought, I'll just go for it. And what I realized is that no, like the people that I have found along the way, the kind of business besties, the colleagues that are doing something, similar but not the same, but in kind of the same world, like these people are invaluable because they provide a sounding board, they provide insight, right? Like we can't know everything ourselves in a vacuum. And there we go with this again. So I'm not exactly sure what, what we want to celebrate, but we're gonna just keep because we're celebrating all of this. So we're gonna keep going with it. So you want to make sure that you have found community wherever that is for the things that you're doing, right? I even find this, I think you've probably heard me mention pottery that I've been doing lately. I've made some pottery friends, and that is really helpful too, because they can help you do things that maybe you haven't done before. You can ask them for advice, you can get feedback, you can celebrate each other, all of this good stuff. So even if you are someone who loves to do things alone, be alone, etc., you're going to need people along the way. And there's no shame in reaching out to people to ask if they have opinions, right? If they can help you in some way, etc. And then lastly, I think this one is the biggest one for me. And it's that we have to get uncomfortable, right? Or rather, you have to get quite comfortable with being uncomfortable because I don't think the uncomfortable part ever goes away. At least it doesn't for me. I am an introvert. It was really hard for me to learn to like just even talk about my business and tell people what I'm doing, but I knew that I had to because otherwise people wouldn't know that I was available to help them or that this kind of help even existed. And so there are so many just incredibly uncomfortable things that I feel like I have had to do along the way. Things like just like emailing every single person I knew to let them know what I was doing. Things like, going to conferences and just like having a stack of business cards and being like, I'm just going to meet people, right? I'm just going to meet people, going to talk about things, no ulterior motive. Like those things were really hard for me. Your pieces of uncomfortability, like the areas where you don't feel as comfortable or where you feel really uncomfortable, these are things that I don't know what they are for you. They might be very different. It might be really easy for you to talk to all these people in a way that it wasn't for me. Or, you might have challenges that are quite different than mine. But we all are going to have these growth edges, right? As my kids' school calls them, these growth edges, these areas where it's going to be really uncomfortable, and we're going to have to plow through and be uncomfortable because there's really no way to do it without being uncomfortable, right? If you are growing, you are going to be uncomfortable. My favorite cheesy quote these days is there is no growth in the comfort zone. And I have found that to be entirely true. So I just wanted to share that with you. These 5 lessons that I have learned about starting something new and making it successful that I thought might be relevant to you in anything that you're starting that is new, whether that's a big project, whether that's a hobby, whether that's a business, whether that's a new career, whether that's like parenthood or something, right? Like there's all sorts of things that we start that are brand new and we have no idea what's going on or how to do it or if it's going to be successful. And these are the 5 lessons that I have distilled over this time that have really helped me. Now, what's next for me? You didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So there's a lot of things that I want to do next that maybe are going to be more, they're going to be less organic, right? They're things that I'm trying to put out in the world instead of things that maybe have come to me organically. And I'm throwing them out to you because, who knows? Maybe you are the people that can help. So one, I want to write a book at some point in the next few years. So if you are an editor, a literary agent, you've written a book in the past and you have advice for me, send it my way. I want to hear it. Like, I'm just throwing this out here because I don't know who you are and what your connections might be and whether you could help me. And so if you can help me or if you have anything to share, let me know. I also want to start a podcast. I want to start a podcast because I want different modalities to be able to help more people. And I know that for me, I listen to podcasts like literally every time I'm doing something that I'm not, sitting in front of a screen. I'm like listening to a podcast when I'm running or when I'm, doing chores or when I'm running errands or like whatever it is. And so I want to be able to provide that for you as well because I'm willing to bet that that might be a way that you consume content and that might be helpful as well. So I want to do that. Um, and I want to produce more. I learned that along this lines that I love writing online courses. I love producing online courses, things that people are able to consume in their very busy lives, like in little chunks, right? And that's something I want to do more of. So if you have any ideas for me, if there are things you want me to cover, if there are things you want me to write about, if there are things you want me to create videos about, if there are courses that you're like, I need to learn how to do this, please comment below because I am here to serve you. And so I want to know what you want from me because if I can serve you, that's what I want to do. So thank you for being here, as always. If you want to keep getting content just like this, make sure to subscribe so I will be in your feed every single week. And please, I'm not joking, comment below. If you've got advice for me, if you've got things you want me to write about, to cover, to do, let me know because that's kind of the next phase of where I'm going with all of this. All right, see you soon.
If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe because only about 24% of the people that watch us are actually subscribed. Thank you.